I need to be quick, learn the latest news surrounding Antonio Rudiger, Azpilicueta, Ian Maatsen, Cucurella, as well as 3 players reports are suggesting we are actively holding discussions with, and the code name being given to them is Special K. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hope you're enjoying the content returning back on a more regular basis as well. Smash that like button, get involved in the comments please my friends, without wasting no more time. So right now we start with the recent report today, and that involves Antonio Rudiger. Now today officially marked the day that Rudiger has signed for Real Madrid. He completed his medical and he signs for them on a 4-year contract. Now his announcement will get officially announced once the Champions League final does end for obvious reasons, and essentially, you know, even though we made the best ever financial package to the defender, if Rudiger had committed to the deal the club offered him, he would have been by far the highest paid defender throughout the entire club's history. I think the fees amounted to like nearly around 230k a week once you include the base wages, bonuses, signing on fees, etc, etc. Now interestingly enough, as I did a video a few days back or a few weeks back, Real Madrid offered him a lower base salary compared to us by giving him 150k. However, when it came to the signing on fees that Rudiger wanted for himself and for his agent, it seems like the total fees Madrid will be paying will be around 30 million euros to his brother and to Rudiger as well too. Included are even better bonuses as well too. So ultimately, Rudiger could be earning nearly over 300k a week once you add up all the bonuses and clauses, which are very likely to be activated because Real Madrid will most likely continue to win. So I guess what I can say is goodbye to Rudiger. You know what, it was nice to see him fulfill his potential. When we first signed him, not many of us even had the expectations or even could believe that Rudiger would become a world-class defender. He had things working against him in his game, but now he is so much more complete. He's a leader, and I guess he gives us something to think about and to remember, that sometimes you have to give patience to talent to grow. It's natural that a guy who's reaching his peak years, his prime years in football, finally fulfilled his promise. And normally, for like 95% of players, that's what tends to happen. So maybe we should be a bit easier on some of the younger guys that were waiting to just grow and develop, because if they can end up like Rudiger that quickly, after how he originally started his career with us, then honestly, you guys, it's an exciting time ahead for some of the guys at the club right now. So good luck to Rudiger. And now we move on to the second story. So right now we move on to the second story today involving left wing backs. It's time to discuss Ian Maatsen and Cucurella. Starting with Maatsen first. Now this report came from Simon Phillips. I'm sure you guys know who Simon is already on Twitter. One of the main guys when it comes to reporting news as well too. Shout out to him and Dad if they're even watching this. But he released an article on his website reporting that Dortmund are expressing an interest to sign Ian Maatsen in the summer. Now for them, they need some competition for Guerrero down the left hand side. Schultz isn't levels anymore. They need some strong depth in that position, and they think that Ian Maatsen, that's just won Young Player of the Year at Coventry City, literally fits them like a glove. And to be honest, you guys, excellent talent identification from Borussia Dortmund. It's really no surprise, you know. Ian Maatsen has always had like a bit of clout behind his name. Of course, he came from the renowned PSV Academy, made his name in Holland, and normally with how it works in the game, you guys, you know, clubs will continue to just monitor some of these like star boys from younger to see how their careers progress and see if there's any possibility in signing them. We'll see how they're doing. Maatsen fits that criteria, and it makes so much sense. I mean, the guy can play as a left back, left wing back, left mid, left wing as well too. Back in the academy days, he actually even played as a 10 sometimes as well, and I think it just really highlights just how comfortable he is on the ball, how good he is under pressure in tight areas, how good he is when it comes to being his man 1v1, as well as his ability to now to time him overloads, you know, the pace to burn in behind as well too. And he's stocky. He's not like a weak guy. He's a stocky figure and stocky character. So I guess my next question is, can Thomas Tuchel afford to let someone like Ian Maatsen leave us right now? Now, I did say last season that, you know, Tuchel was really impressed by Maatsen during the last preseason. So let's hope that this preseason he gets another opportunity, because ideally, even though we know we have to spend a ton of money on new positions, let's not spend unnecessary money on positions that could be filled by young players or squad players that, you know, would probably be the best thing to do. We still own a ton of left backs at the club. I mean, look at guys like Alonso, Emerson, forgotten guys like Baba Rachman. I mean, you can go on. I think we have like 6 left backs on the books currently. So I just don't think it makes too much sense to not give an opportunity to show that he is ready for the first team for next season. I hope that this summer we don't make the same mistakes from last summer where there was like an exodus of youth players that didn't really get any opportunities to impress Tuchel at all because they weren't allowed to join up with the pre-season squad. And a lot of these guys left before Tuchel had a real fair chance at even assessing them and seeing them. It just feels like when Maatsen would be great competition for Ben Chilwell and also has that potential to become even better, to grow even more. It just makes sense to give him that offer and not spend unnecessary money on positions that aren't needed when we could use that money in more key areas. That's just my thoughts and opinions though, you guys. Some of you might think I've got a bias towards youth players, but I only have a bias towards good youth players, and all the good youth players I have a bias towards, I mean, you see what they're doing now. I ain't gonna say more. So right now we move on to the next story and let's discuss Marco Cucurella, as this report came from Nizar Kanzela from Goal.com. And essentially, the club are still maintaining their long-term interest in Cucurella. This interest has existed since his time at Getafe and the Barcelona B team, and essentially, Tuchel and his staff are very impressed by the player and see him as a potential Marcos Alonso replacement. Now, at 23 years old, very fast, good and behind, technical, very good, like La Masia crossing inside the books as well too. No surprise we're interested, but as the article stresses, we must replace players first. You know, we have too many fullbacks on the club's books. These guys have to go, a lot of them, by this summer. So let's see what happens with this situation in particular. But, you know, Cucurella, how do I think of him? I think he's talented. I think he's a good player. Ideally, though, considering the amount of positions we need to buy and fill up, it wouldn't make as much sense to me to blow like 40 mil of that budget on a position where we have like an Ian Maatsen we could turn to, that we could use and rely upon. And I say this because I remember last summer when there was still Cucurella links, a lot of people didn't want him to come to the club, but literally one season in the Premier League is enough to like switch so many minds. And I just think that with that type of energy, we could apply that to some of the top quality talent we already have. As I keep saying, supplement the team with guys from the academy, and the positions you don't have that isn't enough quality, spend big money on that. I just think it's a very tried and proven formula, and I don't know, we'll have to see what happens with this story, but left wing back is definitely an area that needs more additions for next season. So right now we move on to the big story today, and they are the players that we are actively holding talks with at this point in time. Now, this information comes courtesy of a very respected Twitter account going by H.Grimes. He's had a long history now of breaking a lot of stories way in advance. She's very respected, very clouted, and essentially with some of her tweets, she mentions that, and in her tweets today, she mentions 2 KEs in advanced talks with Chelsea. Double key, Kalidou Koulibaly, KKK, Jules Kounde, of course, JK as well too. And we got further information as well from another tweet, and in it states even Tchoumeni and Kounde's agent is a KE, key man. Jonathan Kebe represents both, as well as Magnon, via the ESN agency. People who thought Chelsea didn't act since Chelsea's restrictions are wrong. Non-stop talks, by the way, Chelsea's boards, Tuchel and agent Kebe for boys, Tchoumeni and Kounde. Now acting officially and pushing hard now. Now, some of you might think instantly, we're sanctioned. We can't do anything when it comes to transfers. We can't make nothing official, you guys. But we know what this industry is like. We know all these tapping up stories. We know that clubs, they talk and they look to get these deals prepared in advance. So that's not a surprise to me. That's common sense. Why the clubs stop trying to make moves right now? But it is very exciting to know that Tchoumeni and Kounde are strong options, as well as Koulibaly as well. So I'm going to break down each of these guys before ending with the final story today. We'll talk about Tchoumeni and Kounde together. Now, of course, these guys are boys. They're part of the same agency as well too. And we already know that Kounde is still waiting to sign for us in the summer. You know, he agreed personal terms. He was upset that Sevilla, of course, didn't allow him to leave in the end. He's not interested in signing for other clubs too. And it just feels like this summer we will be getting our man. But I guess it comes down to the price we're willing to pay to sign him in the end. But Kounde could play a big part in persuading Tchoumeni to sign for us. Now, possibly Madrid and other clubs could be getting priced out for a move. Now, there have been so many conflicting reports, but essentially a lot of these reports come down to this. If Monaco miss out on Champions League football, which could happen, but currently after their amazing form, I just don't see it happening at all, then he could be available on a much reduced fee because they've missed out on Champions League football. However, if they don't, which they probably aren't going to do, he has a contract till 2025. The player said he could remain another season to play Champions League football with Monaco before leaving for next season. However, he'd also be open to leaving as well too. If clubs want to sign him, the price now is around 80 million euros, which I think is around like 70 million pounds or something like that, which is very fair for one of the best young holding mids in the world, in Europe. These are the prices you have to pay now. There's literally nothing you can do about that. I mean, it's quite frustrating to think that if we hopefully sign Tchoumeni one day, we're going to be paying like a crazy amount of money, because to think that we agreed terms with the player only for management and figures at the club to decide maybe he was coming a season too early, to then decide that so was the guy to sign, even though he's been absolutely awful for the past few years. It doesn't make any sense, to be honest, and let's pray with this new management at the club, man. We don't take L's like this anymore. The fact the club are currently holding talks is positive. It's exciting. And for me, I've always said this, because he's cheaper than Declan Rice, it just makes sense to sign, because we desperately need a DM for next season. No ifs or buts about that. We need to sign a top quality one to act as the future replacer for Kante, as well as giving us a new framework to be able to get the best out of our midfield and potentially our attack. So what do you guys think? Tchoumeni and Kounde arriving next season? Possibly, it could happen. More likely with Kounde. However, Tchoumeni, he's a guy that I just can't fully give up on right now. No club is really that close, and the fact that we are fighting and battling tells a lot about, the importance behind the signing. Moving on to Koulibaly, and this has been a report that's been coming out over the past few weeks recently. His agent in Ramdani did offer him to the club. Now that Koulibaly's contract is finally getting to its final year, he finally becomes affordable to be able to leave Napoli. Now, I feel for the guy. He's been priced off move after move after move because clubs weren't reaching the demands that, of course, De Laurentiis wanted at Napoli. But currently, Koulibaly, after just winning the African Nations with Senegal at 30 years old, and when you remember that in football today, now when you get past 30, your career is not over, man. Probably like 35 is the new 30. You still got years of experience from these players who look after themselves in a way that just hasn't been done over the past decades in football. I think he could be an intelligent signing, because I think there's real long-term viability with the player. Now, with Rudiger leaving, it means that we've lost a lot of experience actually throughout the entire squads. Now, Koulibaly can play down that left-hand side and essentially would be that experienced figure to replace Rudiger. On top of that, potentially Thiago Silva will probably leave from next season afterwards, and then Koulibaly becomes that senior veteran that is going to be helpful when you're playing alongside young players. Ideally, you want to have that balance between experience, veterans, and of course, great young potential in the squad as well too. Koulibaly has recently been endorsed by Demba Ba, who featured on my guy Alex Goldberg's The Byline podcast. Of course, you guys, know where to find it. Give it a watch. And he thinks that he is the perfect profile to help the team for next season. And I could see some sense behind it based on cost effects and the long-term effect for the squads. I actually think due to the value, Koulibaly could be a very smart acquisition based on that money. And next season, you're looking at a backline of him, Silva, Jalaba, Kobo, and Kounde as well. I think that's well balanced, and of course it prepares the team in the future for when Thiago Silva eventually leaves as well. So there could be some great balance to have in defense positions. So right now we end things with the final story today. It does involve azpilicueta, and today we got some news confirming that Barcelona's contract bid offered to Azpi is over 10 mil a season. They've offered him a 2-year deal worth 11 million euros per season, which is a ton of money. And I guess now the ball really is in Azpilicueta's court. Of course, he has the ability to stay with us and stay with the team, of course, due to the clauses in his existing contract, which have already literally just come to life right now. But at the same time, Azpilicueta going to Barcelona, big money, more longevity playing in the team, getting a lot more minutes because they're a lot more inexperienced compared to us at the back. It could make a ton of sense for him, and with Marcos Alonso as well, who seems set to believe in the club at this point in time. Barcelona are big fans of him, big fans of his experience, his skill, his ability, and the versatility where he can play on the left hand side of a back three, left wing back, further up, etc, etc. It seems like they want to take off some of the players on our wage bill who are on big wages, so that could help us quite a lot, knowing that some of the signings will probably earn less money than Marcos Alonso and Azpilicueta too. So let's see what happens with this situation, you guys. A ton of news has happened today. That's everything. I hope you guys enjoyed. There is going to be more videos coming out tomorrow as well too. Of course, stay tuned for the match review for the Leeds game, as well as probably another news video in the early afternoon. So on that note, I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lions CV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos.